Without any further ado, I shall introduce you to our next speaker from API. It's David Peters, and he's going to be talking a little bit about influencing the luxury drinks sector. So David, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here at the Spirit Summit. Just in case you're a little bit sleepy. I'm here today to talk about the trends. So as I say, it's a fantastic opportunity to actually explain what API Group has been doing over the last 2 years, where, as you know, we are suppliers of materials such as foils, films, laminates, and some of the exciting finishes that you've seen in packaging over the last 5-10 years. But what we've been encouraging over the last 2 years is actually working with the trend information. So working with leading fashion trend organisations like GSN, we've been transforming those trends, identifying the trends and making them relevant to our materials going forward. So what we've seen, we are being involved now in stage 1 of a concept or process. That might be with the brand owner, the design agency, or actually the printers themselves. So there's 3 target audiences that we've actually been working with very comfortably at any stage of a project. We launch trends at Monaco, at Luxury Packaging, every year in October. So this is our second successful launch that we're sharing with you, just as it's been launched, to be honest with you. So it's been a great timing. And what I'm going to do is just talk about the key drivers. In our booth next door, you will see we have our new trend book. And what's interesting, we've created the big personalities. So we have 4 key trend drivers, which I'm going to go through with you today. 4 key personalities. If you can imagine a rock group, there's a keyboard player, a vocalist, etc. So every trend has got its own personality, which we hope is relevant to the drink sector. And we've already been working with some successful projects over the last 6 months. So the trends are encapsulating what we see is going to be important for the next 2 years. So starting spring, summer 18, going right through to 19, and then beyond. So being inspired. So everything we do, API, is about inspiration. It's to inspire our customers. So as I said, it's not just about selecting a foil at the end of a project. We just need a goal from you or a laminated substrate. We want to be involved and we want to start inspiration right from the beginning. This might be a project which is all about an evolve or some brand new innovation. So the inspiration, what we do with the trends, we explain, we go through them, and we see if there's any opportunities that no one's thought about. Because of our global network, which is really important, we're also looking at all the different duty-free sectors as well. So every duty-free, whether it be in France, whether it be in the States, everybody positions themselves very differently, the Asian market. So whether it's over kind of blingy versus the really subtle traditional packaging, we highlight that within the trends also. So we make sure we cover all the details off within the trends. So it's not just simply regurgitating trend information, it's API's influence or response to that particular trend. So there are 4 trends, and if you can imagine the 4 strong personalities, there is always the big mouth personality, which is the bold, the bright colours. This is an example of some of the trend boards that we have. There's a big, bold personality. There's a subtle, more feminine, softer version of the trends. There's a luxury side, and there's an intelligence. So these kind of 4 key areas, or compartments, if you like, are what we home in on, because they cover all of our portfolio. You may be a very traditional whiskey. You may be a very innovative vodka with mixtures, citrus blasts, that type of thing. So we kind of try and get the characteristics right through the trends before we receive a brief to kind of home in. So Neon Storm, and again, this is in our new trend book, and it's actually online as well. Neon Storm is all about explosion, it's about colour, it's about reflection, it's all about attracting the consumer to the shelf. Holographics, strong colours, bright neons, explosions. So it's about a big, bold character. You can't ignore it. We've used this trend successfully at the moment for travel retail within duty-free, but more predominantly within the retailer outlets who do gifting, for example, Mother's Day, Father's Day, occasions through the year where you need to grab somebody's eye or attention. So as I say, this is like a brief summary of the personality, but Neon Storm is what we excel at, because with us creating our own holographics, our own holographic designers, we play around with light and we create this movement and expression. We use this trend for the front cover of the Luxpack Monaco exhibition as well. You may have seen it on the front cover of the catalogue, where again, it's not just static holographics, we're creating the movement. So if we move on to the mood board, you can see typically what we would do is we explain what the trend is. So Neon Storm, big personality, the big show off, if you like, you can't ignore me. And so we have the trend at the top left, and then the expression or the response from the API. So we have our foils on the left that will key in straight away to any decision making. If it's a foil application, if it's a holographic in the center, and the weird and wonderful engraved patterns and different holographic treatments that we can start to look at and start to talk about, whether they are on shelf already, part of our standard catalogue, or we can create new, bold ideas as well and kind of evolve using this trend. And as I said, this is perfect for all the fruit infusions. We're seeing a lot more now, particularly in the Polish market, working with printers with MPS, for example, where people are executing or trying to do something different, miniature sizes, fruit explosions, almost like trial sizes, but for travel retail. So they're really harnessing this trend of taste. Not just about its provenance of where it's from, it's all about what they're doing to infuse. And as we've seen with all the gin category and all the experimentation going on, vodkas and everybody else is following suit about experimentation. So this trend is a harnessing that and almost celebrating the colour, the taste. Complete contrast, ethereal. Now these trends, we have an existing trend book from last year, which is relevant until spring, summer in 18, and then the new trends take over. Now, there's always a spiritual, softer trend, more of a beauty trend, particularly with the cosmetics people. They don't want bold, brash. They want beauty. They want soft and sultry. So we have all the iridescence, the HRI, the soft sheens, and we're creating beauty with our materials. So we haven't just got the big, huge pow in your face. Lots of people see holographics as being too strong, too overpowering. Design agencies seem to think, or just through experience, there are softer alternatives. So with the ethereal trend, what we've done is shown and showcased some of our materials that are a lot softer, smoother, less in your face, so the product and the brand actually stands out more. So here we're looking at powder colours, pastel colours, again a massive contrast to the Neon Storm, and it's a lot more subtle selling. So perfect for your liqueurs, your softer creams, that type of thing. And what we try and do is, again, have a different characteristic. And again, just to go back, the importance of the trends and the trend boards is almost to assign a look or a feel before there's an actual concrete brief. What my job is as creative development manager is to kind of pull in all the best of what we have as a company, and if we need to evolve and change things, we will do. But more often than not, some of the most effective finishes and effects, has right from the 70s or the 80s. And the designers of today might be in the 20s, haven't seen some of the pillars of light or the rainbow effects. So you're showing some of these on project boards and they're like, oh my God, what's this? So it's quite nice to show something that's got a real retro feel, but actually looks new and it's been more inventive. So ethereal is all about big open spaces, soft freshness, and again, target audiences, skincare, cosmetics and confectionery in some points, but it's all premium. So the liqueurs, like I just mentioned, and some of the softer sell-in with some of the brands, particularly within the spirits. And also provenance, you get really... I always go to the Isle of Skye every year because it's so, the terrain and Talisker there, for example, and the power of all the storms and the weathers, and then you can go somewhere serene, the other side of Scotland, and ethereal might fit in with that. So it's all about capturing the character as well. So we try and get everything in there and make it relevant to the brand that we're talking to. And again, the board, left-hand side, the appropriate foils, cold foils, hot foils, playing around with techniques. We've got close relationships with all of our printers. So what I always try and do is some printer might be fantastic at embossing, hot foil stamping, the use of our laminations, the way they crease cartons, the actual pulp. With Cautionus, for example, the board types that they have, they marry perfectly with some of our materials, but I almost step back and almost don't really care about where it comes from. It's about the essence of the trend and interpreting the trend. These boards just showcase lots of imagery with the ethereal top left. This is almost kind of like a universe unknown, so we kind of try and capture that within some of the materials. So on the left by the foils, you'll see some of the lens work that we've been working on, and the holographics, these real broad brush strokes as if it's from another planet. So we try and take it right away from the neon storm. Primary matrix, this is the intelligence of the trends. So although it's powerful colour, very simplistic in its colour palette, it's almost what lies beneath the surface. So perfect representation is the Rubik's Cube, where it's just very plain cube, but there's lots of formulations, lots of potentials that could happen. Within our holographics, Holonique boutique product, we look below the surface. We can calculate where the light hits. Your product might be at the bottom of a shelf, middle of a shelf, top, and we can calculate exactly the angles where that light hits, how we develop the holography, and again, the intelligence of what API Group can bring to a project. It may just be a flat surface that somebody's interested in, but what we'll always identify through the trends, other opportunities and ideas, again, to keep this inspiration going. So it's all about, David, we just want to do A, B, C, D, but we'll in the background look at other alternatives as well of what we can bring. And similarly here, you have the silver starburst lenses, which we've used successfully with the Moet Chandon. And on the left, the lenses aren't brilliant silver, they're the HRI, so they can become very just soft, pool-like, tranquil. Linking a little bit to the ethereal trend, where it's about softness. Some of the effects and finishes can be too overpowering and take over the brand. So we've got to find out the happy medium where we could water down some of the technologies, and so it's the brand that stands true. And again, that's part of our discussions that we have with either brand owner, the agencies, the brand guardians, as to the percentage of the effects, because Neon Storm could just take over everything. What we want to do sometimes is for the brand to be prominent more than the technology. And lastly is Diamond Lux. Last year we had Sartorial, which was our big luxury trend. That's now evolved from all the golds to Diamond Lux with all the silvers. So what we're doing now is looking at like pewters, nickel, zinc, all the different metal alloys. Copper, as we know, is very big. Rose gold's very big. So we're now exhausting almost a pH palette of metals and see what we can do with cold foil, hot foil, matte effects, shines, sheens, blushes, that type of thing. Diamond Lux celebrates almost the gothic glamour, the after dark. So there's lots of glitters, robust lens effects, which have got a matte effect on there. All these samples that we have just in the exhibition room next door. But again, it's celebrating the luxury. Predominantly, we're using this trend already in duty-free arena. It wasn't just cosmetics, now it's going into the drinks. So even rather than just looking at cartons and full expressions of the full carton, we're looking at sleeve opportunities where you can have a quick fix, which fits within the trends, but sometimes showcasing technologies that you may not have looked at before. So we're trying to kind of push with diamond looks, the more premium diamond facets, glitters, that type of thing. And there's an example of that a little bit later. And again, as you can see, it's very showy, and it's almost people celebrating what they are. And believe it or not, we're using this board a lot more as well for tobacco, for the cigar industry. You can see in the centre on the left, the Gucci B is the extra matte gold foil. And what we were able to deliver there was the detail of the actual filaments in the wings. So it was very small motif on a textured substrate. So right through the trends on the boards, we're explaining the finishes that we have, but applied to certain substrates. And again, the innovation day, which I'll come on to, but the trend boards, not just showing off our materials, but also how their applications and what they can do. And it's just little samples like this that have been very successful for us, particularly with the design agencies, where they haven't got time to spend on development and exploration. We have all of these ready. So Diamond Look celebrates the gothic, the glamour. So moving on, our innovation day. So with all the trend boards that we have, we then get invited to the premises of our customers. It could be an hour, half a day. Sometimes I talk too much and it runs right over. So we say 45 minutes to an hour. And basically what we do, top left-hand corner, we explore what the trends mean to a certain customer or agency or even the printer. You know, David, API, we've been working with a customer for quite a long time. We quite like to push the boundary or show innovation which is relevant to our apparatus or our mindset or the personality of the agency. We basically deliver what is going on. So the trend boards that you've seen, examples, is a generic presentation, but then the stage 2 on the right-hand side, we can then home in specifically to a project or a brief, so it's more relevant for that customer. They've been very well, there's been a good response to them, and we have 2 or 3 a year with some of our main clients, because as you know, the trends evolve all the time. What we try and do is keep above it, keep on top of it as quick as we can, and send in the updates. The trends teaser, a little leaflet we have next door, shows a summary of what the trends is about, so anybody can interpret them internally to their own teams. So being exceptional, from inspiring to exceptional. Last year, we touched on the eye tracking technology. We're still using this technology, and what that does is always brings the science to our materials. So where the eye looks, before I mentioned whether you're at the bottom of the shelf, top, middle, the eye's directing. So we are all born magpies. You know, people stop at the exhibition stands just because they want to see what's happening, because we're pulling somebody in with a reflective surface or something interesting. So it's ever important using our eye tracking product. The white papers are online on our website, but we always try and encapsulate or bring into that some of the science relevance as well. And again, mapping where the eye looks, the colours, the heat, that type of thing. And again, this is relevant particularly on position on shelf. We'll just always sense check, go back and just see if there's any more learning that we can bring into the presentations. And ultimately, everybody wants to stand out. Even brands that have been around for hundreds of years need to evolve slightly. You know, it's a sad thing, but people do die and new consumers come along. Heritage can't just sit around and wait and be tapped into. It's always promoting what is the standard, how we can then dress the product, whether it's about labeling, whether it's about the actual packaging itself, but also its promotional activity, which we've started to get involved in, on how we can take that technologies right through and making sure that the products that we work with are as unique as possible. Brings me on to unique. So we have our standard ranges of materials. Working with the trends, our innovation plan every year is to evolve this all the time for our different markets. You know, we deal with premium, Wines, spirits, drinks is one of our biggest categories. What we always try and do is push something different. If it's already on shelf, in my opinion, it's already been done, obviously, so it's not as new. We can change the technologies. The lens, for example, we could smash it into starbursts. So we're always trying to create something new for our customers. People want to win awards. People want to be a limited edition. Consumers want to be collectible. I just love this. I want to have all the range. So we're tapping into emotion all the time. Right from the very beginning of the concept of innovation days, it's all about what can we do unique and different. So bespoke materials, bespoke effects. We'll always challenge what we do internally. And just a quick case study, smashing lenses and something iconic like with the Tattiger brand, using the lenses and the circles, they believe that their fluid, their champagne, their bubbles, it's far more superior than anybody else's due to history, its location, the depth of the caves in France. What we did was just then transfer the trends and evolve to the Tattinger diamond. So those bubbles have now become diamonds through the trends and through just talking and exploring the brand and its opportunity and making sure it's hero on shelf in any of its duty-free locations. So that's been amazing. Lots of trust. People trust us with the strategy eventually to share their ideas for the future. And I always promise there's no point me doing something for somebody else as well, or we have 2 replications on the shelf, so it's no good for API. So being empowered. Essentially, the API group is empowering brands. We want people to keep coming back to us, a journey, the loyalty that we'll have with all of our customers, and long term. We've been around a long time, 1793, and so there's a lot of skill. There's a lot of things that have gone right, a lot of things that have gone wrong, which we bring into all of our projects. So, in more particular, just bring me on to a case study, and again, this is just summarising what we used to do in the past. Was like a vendor, and it's almost we just need a red foil at the end of a project. By coming into the beginning, the case study with Ciroc, for example, it all started in exhibitions, trend boards, dragging people in visually. You know, it could have been sausage factories or cosmetic people or tobacco. It was all about what's going on. We had the innovation team visit us. We have an idea where the bottle needs to go into a pack. We believe gifting opportunity, travel and retail is massive. There is no vodka, no white spirit at the moment in a box, and it's almost what can we do iconic? What can we own in technology? So then we looked at all the various options. We were introduced the design agency, so we had innovation from the client, the design agency, managing the brand, butterfly cannon, the vision, creativity, but also brand guardians. They would explain to me what the emotion of the brand is all about, where it needs to be. The technology can't take over. So by looking at the Neon Storm, previously digital, it's all about this power and expression and celebration. So working with the print house, with the design agency and the brand owner, what we're able to do is collectively bring it all together with trials, densities of blues. Is the lens need to be a certain size? Using lens, it's a very strong white light. Do we need to dampen that down? So that's what we kind of 5-6 week process of just finding out what all our roles were and then how we all complemented each other. So this is a fantastic case study using the Neon Storm. What we do, we have all these explosions. So although we're going down a certain route, is there anything we're missing? Does the Ciroc stone need to have a bit of a rainbow in there, which holographics can bring to it? Is there an engraved quality, which is like molten metal, or is it the piercing bright vision of the lens? So we will again sense check back. You know, it's quite important to state we're not designing anything. What we're trying to do is realize people's ideas. So the creative agencies, the vision of the brand owner, the printing techniques of the converter, it's almost we need to bolt onto this, which has been very successful over the last couple of years. And again, sense checking, going back, looking at other products we were using, we were working with this trend. Holographic materials, foils, Hotel Chocolat, for example, cold foil shrink sleeves, Heineken trials. So again, it's always just keep reaffirming that it's the right direction to go down. And it's not just a case of the customer selected this material, let's just do this. So it was a very good working relationship, a great case study with this spirit. And so this finished up with this beautiful motif, this ownable element, which we hope bolted onto the brand equity and it was almost this kind of beacon of blue that you would see anywhere in any duty-free. So it was a fantastic opportunity to be part of this, and a great case study on how we worked with all the technical side and the creatives to bring this across. So that's it from me. So if there's any questions, myself and the team are exhibiting next door, and it'd be lovely to hear from you. But thank you very much.